This is the Last Word, which was directly across the street from the Club Alabama. And in 1942, Nat King Cole and I opened this club. It was owned and operated by Curtis Mosby, who also owned the Club Alabama and the Apex. The Apex is where Art Tatum used to flourish before they put in Mosby's band. This is a chorus line called the Redettes that was taken from the Lincoln Theater when I managed and operated and produced the shows at the Lincoln Theater back in the 40s during the war. This is the Lincoln Theater where let me get on this side, where I worked. I don't know whose names are on there now, but I operated it for a whole season. Lincoln Motion Picture Theater, the motion pictures, and Herb Jeffries worked there. Ralph Cooper, Lincoln Motion Picture Company. How about that? Anita Thompson and Webb King and Clarence Brooks. All these. I wasn't into motion pictures, but I was into the live shows. Georgia Rose at the Lincoln Theater, Clarence Brooks, All-Star Negro, beautiful. That's about all I can tell you about the Lincoln Theater. This whole block from 41st to 42nd Street was just filled with entertainment. Had 2 jazz rooms and a pool room across the street where most of the performers. The Mimi Club was across the street in the next block. That's where all the performers used to hang out. The guy who owned it was a very good friend to performers. And this was a hotel. I lived in this hotel for a few weeks. When I first came to Los Angeles, Joe Louis and I and Freddie Ginyard lived here, and it was a wonderful place. And I played golf with the fellow who owned this hotel, and it's just marvelous to come back, but unhappy to see all of the buildings tore down and new buildings put in. Across the street where the pool room was, it's a vacant lot now, and that's about all I can do. I don't know anything else I can tell you, but this was a lobby I did not frequent too much. I always came in from the Central Avenue side. This was an exit that I didn't have to make. Okay. Well, this is Central Avenue, and I can relate to this because I spent many years here during the war, World War II. From 1940 to 1946, I was here. And across the street there, where you see this building, it says Mercado, whatever that is, Italian, Spanish. That was a pool room that all the show people used to frequent, and other people too. This was a street where all of the people, natives, used to hang out. And right next door to it, you'll see there's a breezeway. There is a breezeway, and that used to lead to the Apex Club in the back where Art Tatum used to play. And later on, it was enlarged, and Curtis Mosby, who, where that big building there is now, was the Club Alabama. The Club Alabama was that huge building they just put in there since I've been here. I haven't been here in a long time, but that was where the Club Alabama was. And right in there, as I said, where that breezeway is, was Apex. And next door to that, where you see there's no building there at all, was a place that Nat King Cole and I opened up in 1941 and called The Last Word. And at that time, I was the master of ceremonies and the producer of the Club Alabama with Johnny Otis's band. And I used to run across, introduce the show, then run across and do my comedy skit with to introduce Nat King Cole. Okay? And these were just buildings and storefronts. And I see the one thing that is still there is the funeral home. It was there. And next door to the funeral home was a place called the Mimi Club, where all the drinkers used to hang out. And of course, that's about all I can remember about this street. This is, of course, further down, of course, was the Jack's Basket Room and the Lincoln Theater where I produced the shows, and several other little... On each corner was a jazz room. I forget the name of the rooms, but on this corner, which is the southwest corner, and on over here, which is the southeast corner, was a jazz room, and they were vying for the patrons to come in, whichever jazz artist drew the most, you know. And it was a great street for 2 blocks. for 2 blocks of entertainment. This was the greatest mecca of entertainment in the United States at that time. You could find anybody or anyone, especially in Alabama. I played Dinah Washington, the Red Fox. I brought Red Fox to California and had Fox and White in the Alabama. My wife, Barbara DeCosta, at that time, I introduced her to the Club Alabama when Johnny Otis's band was there. It's about all I can tell you about this street.